Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Destiny, and per usual, I'm always so happy to have you guys here with me today. Today's video is hitting a little different, but because of who I am and what I do, I just felt like I needed this video to be here on my channel for those of you that are going through similar walks of life like I am right now. So as you guys know, we've heard it 100 times, but I am perfectly fine saying it a million times for the rest of my life. I started my channel because of mental health issues, and in the midst of that, I lost my father to COVID-19, and I spent the remainder of the last 2 years today since my father has passed away, learning to have to live life without one of the closest people in my life. Over the course of 2 years, I have learned so much about myself. I have seen the way my mind can go to its darkest places, and I have physically felt myself fight out of some very just really crappy thoughts and really, just deep places. For those of you that may not know, my father and I were extremely close. He was, again, my best friend. He was a very active grandfather. He helped me so much with my kids. That allowed me to work because he would help with his schedule and stuff. It also helped me as a stay-at-home mom, be a stay-at-home mom, because my father kind of helped me in areas that just weren't really important for us when we are budgeting as, a family of 4 with 1 income. My father was one of the most amazing people in the world. If you got a chance to know him, you were truly blessed in life. He had this amazing smile. He had this amazing smile, and he would do anything in the world for you. He never judged anyone. He always knew that someone had a reason as to why they did the things they did, and he felt like everyone should always kind of just be treated equally and just loved equally, until given an absolute definitive reason as to why. So he never had a bad bone in his body. He loved sports, specifically basketball. He was huge into Marvel. We saw every Marvel movie together. I fell in love with cars because of my father, and that love for cars, it's actually what led me to meeting my husband. So there's so many things that my father just kind of created in me that's made me the person I am today. A lot of that is always given me the encouragement to be free and just fearless when it came to pursuing my dreams, my passions, and my loves in life. My father, when he got sick with COVID-19, absolutely had no other pre-existing conditions. Just wasn't something we expected, like most of us around the world who lost people to COVID. And if you are going through grief, or you have also know the struggle of losing somebody to COVID, I'm giving you my deepest condolences, because it is extremely hard. It's hard losing anyone in life. It's just, grief is hard. So yeah, I went through a severe depression, and I really had to work really hard out of that. I spent a lot of money on therapy, a lot of money on medication. I spent a lot of days crying. I still do. I just had a really dark year and a half, almost 2 years, if I'm being honest. But I learned a lot, and I think that I have a story to tell for a reason, and I never knew what that would be. I find that in the last year of my life, I have seen so many of my closest friends lose a parent or somebody of importance to them. And watching each and every person go through their own struggles has taught me so much about my own struggles as well. I'm extremely thankful for the life that I was given by my father. He has created this aftermath of his death that has led me to feel at peace in regards to our relationship and our memories and our moments together. My father was, there to meet my children. He was there to walk me down the aisle. He was there to watch me grow into a salon manager and then grow into a stay-at-home mom and really embrace being a mother. And he's watched so many, obviously, of stages of my life. And it was hard, obviously. I found that there was definitely 5 things that I've learned about grief. I can say this with confidence now, definitely 2 years later. This time last year, we will come back to that doorbell in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and continue to the 5 things. Because now I kind of forgot where I was at. But my point is that I learned a lot. So 1 year ago, I wasn't able to get out of bed still. Everything around one's like the first everything. So the first year without him, first full completed year was hard. It was hard for me. It was hard for my mother. It was hard for my husband and my kids. Like, it was my entire family. It was hard for everyone. Shortly after my father's 1 year, his mother had passed away. So my family did really take a hit. Just some really close friends had lost moms, and my best friend. It was just so much things going on. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about these 5 stages of grief and why it's super important. And then I'm going to go into everything else, or else I will just like continue to jump all around. All right. So grief very much has 5 stages. You have denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Super important that you go through all of these stages. There's a certain registration that brain needs to have in order to comprehend what the fuck just happened. I highly suggest that you do these stages. And if you think you're going to struggle in it, please get help. Doing grief alone without a professional, like 10 out of 10 don't suggest. I think that it's super important to have somebody to help you during the time of healing and comprehending what the fuck just happened. So if you're debating on it, and if you have the means to do so, I highly suggest to just do so. Anyway, you have your denial, which isn't obvious. You just don't want to believe that this all just happened. Like, you don't want to believe that this is going to never be here again, that this person's never going to be able to hug me or watch a show with me or call me. Denial's a hard one because you have a hard time believing that you're never gonna have this again. And guys, bear with me. I'm gonna cry this whole video. I don't care about crying. I cry all the time. If I did not record it because I was crying, then I would never fucking record it. So denial's hard. And then you get super angry, and usually 10 out of 10 you're gonna get angry at the wrong people or the wrong person. For me, I got angry at the wrong person. I did not get angry with God. I got very confused by it, especially because it was COVID. I just why him? But also just why, and you go through that part and it's just okay, you're just mad, you're just mad at everyone. You just can't believe this is life, you can't believe it's life, yet death is the most inevitable thing in life. It's very, very interesting how we see these things. But I think anger is an important response to death. You're angry about the fact that you just love or feel whatever strong feeling you're feeling about this person, and it physically has nowhere to go. You're angry, you just want to scream, and you should scream. If you are ready to scream, then scream as loud as you can, because sometimes you need to. Oh my God. Bargaining, you're usually bargaining with a higher power. You are just negotiating everything. Well, I know for me, everyone could be, is different. I was at a point where I wanted to be with my dad. Just take me. I'm cool with it. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. Just take me. Take me. If this is how I have to go, then this is how I have to go. That's dark, and you got to be really careful, which is why I say that grief isn't something that should be done, without help, especially depending on the role that the person played in your life. My father was a major role in my life. You didn't need to know me to know that. We had a very unique friendship and relationship, and we literally did everything together. I thought I was going to take care of him for the rest of... I thought I was going to take care of him for the rest of his life. I mean, I did take care of him up until the day he died, but I thought I had more time. The depression part of grief, let me tell you guys, the depression part of grief is dark. I'm not gonna get this video if I'm gonna cry. So just it is what it is. The depression part of grief is, the darkest part. It's scary. It's all those feels that I just said. Now it's boom, on top of that, I'm not getting out of bed. I'm not taking a shower. I'm barely able to care for my children. I'm not doing things. And I was thankful for me in my position, I was extremely thankful. My partner, I think because my husband knew my dad and I so well, I think he was very prepared for what this was going to look like because of my dependency on my father. And I got very blessed with my husband's patience, his communication, and also my communication. I had very good communication in my marriage leading up to this. So I was very vocal, and when I started to contemplate suicide, I went to my husband and I told him, like, I think you're going to need to admit me and this is what's going on. And he supported me, and he was scared and he was nervous, but he never showed it, and he just held my hand through it all, and we figured it out every step of the way. The reality is that not a lot of people have that, and I understand that. So when I say, like, again, do the help for you, like, you can't put it in other people's hands. At the end of the day, you just really can't expect anyone to pick up your pieces. And if I didn't have him here, I would have figured it out one way or another. So definitely just, again, please get the help. And then the acceptance stage. That acceptance stage is a very interesting spot because you get to this point where you're like, okay, this is it. Like, okay, I am living life. I got up and showered today. I saw my son play basketball today and it made me smile. I watched a Marvel movie and I didn't cry the whole time. I'm living. I'm seeing some more days here. I'm seeing a lot more days where I'm not consistently sad all day. There's happiness thrown in there, and you're like, okay, I'm getting a hang of it. But after acceptance and all these stages, no one talks about after the 5 stages, which is, in my opinion, and at least what I refer to it as, is the healing journey. Yes, I've accepted my father will no longer be here. I know that when it's my time, he'll be wherever I'm meant to be with open arms. And I'll be happy to see him when it's time, but I'm in no rush. And I know my father well enough to know that he would appreciate that because he was in no rush. He would have rather struggled and watched my kids grow up and go off to college than miss a beat. Once I got to the acceptance part, I got to all right, I'm going to heal and I'm going to do this in a healthy way. And I'm going to show my kids and my husband and my entire family and the community that supports me, like, there is a light. I'm telling you, there's a light. Healing after grief, there is a light. I didn't see it. I didn't believe it. I'm telling y'all, there's a light. Look for it. And if you don't see it yet, rewind to this part of this video. There's a light and you will find it. Be patient with yourself and give yourself grace while you're getting to that part of your journey. Don't rush it, because rushing it does not change it, does not make it any less painful. The truth of the matter is that time does not heal all wounds. Time teaches you how to live around that wound. You live around that gaping hole in your chest. You live around that reality that this is it. This is never going to come back. You live around it. So give your time, your body, the time it needs to process the way it needs to, so that as time goes on, you can live a full, meaningful, healthy life that isn't darkened by regret, darkened by any negative real energy that comes from what you may be going through in your time of grieving. You cannot rush the process that you need to go through for grief, and nor should you want to. That pain is just a reminder of how much you love that person, and that is true, which is why I'm okay with crying every time I talk about my father. And I don't, there's very seldom days that I go without crying, but I keep going and I find smiles and moments and I pray and I found beauty in my life again. So there's a light. One of the other things I learned is that coping skills can be dangerous. If you know that you might have a bad coping skill, or you already are coping unhealthy, or that there may or may not be a chance this isn't good for me. First of all, again, get help, but also understand that, again, not all coping skills are healthy. There are coping skills that are healthy, guys. Believe it or not, they're there. So when I say unhealthy, I mean if you're turning to, in my case, it was food. I turned to food for comfort, for emotional support, for just like feel good moments. It caused me to gain a whole bunch of weight, feel really bad about myself. And then that started a whole slew of other issues. For some people, it might be, abusing anxiety medication. For some people, it might be drinking. So there's just so many different unhealthy ones. But then I assure you, there are a lot of healthy ones. One of the things I learned for coping is writing things down, writing my feelings, just being able to express myself. I cope through my channels, through my Instagram and TikTok. It just helps me. And I feel like if it can help me, I might be able to help somebody else. So that's how I find coping. I just really, again, suggest you, if you think that it may or may not happen to you, to really understand that you know, what you're doing might not be healthy, but I promise you there are healthy ways. And depending on who you are, you can find those ways. I can do another video on that. If you guys want that, just leave that down in the comments below, because I can better elaborate on that. The other thing I learned is that time waits for nobody. I am, once again, wildly thankful. I had no regrets when it came to my father, and every day that we spent together, I was with my dad literally up until the moment I dropped him off at the hospital. I was the one that took him to the hospital. I just have no regrets. It's not about even just that time. It's just in life. Like, I never let a day go without telling him I loved him. We never really argued. And if we did, it never lasted more than an hour, because he always, you know, raised me to believe that you just really never know what can happen to somebody. Regret and living with regret was something my father never wanted for me. And I know that because A, he told me, but also because B, that's the life that he created for me. But time waits for nobody. So if there are people out there that you feel like you need to forgive because it is for you, not for somebody else. Again, you just don't want to live a life where you can't have the opportunity to tell somebody how you feel because they're no longer here. It's a permanent removal. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm telling you, time waits for nobody. If you got something to say, say it. If you feel it, feel it. If you love it, let them know that you love it. Time's short. Life is precious. You know, we hear it, but once you start realizing it, it's really essential you, like, you know, absorb that shit. Talk as much as you can. There are people there that are going to listen. And if you have those people in your corner and tired of you talking about your loved one that you have recently lost, they're not your people. I learned that the hard way. And I remained unapologetic about my journey and the people I lost along the way. I don't hold anything against anyone. It wasn't anyone's job to pick up my pieces. But if you at any point dismissed my feelings, derailed the conversation, if you at any point told me, you know, you kind of need to get over it, or suck it up, everyone has to go through it, or I know you're always sad, but you know, that's how you always are, so it is what it is. Like, if you had any of those comments made to you, you absolutely aren't doing your best, any of those comments made, those people don't belong in your life. And unfortunately, I lost a lot of great people that were great in their season with me. But in the season of grief and healing post-grief, they just weren't for me. And that's perfectly fine. The people that are for you, they're there for you, and you know who they are. My group of people have not missed a beat. They are there for me through thick and thin, and I'm beyond thankful. And actually, we're going to pause that, and I'm going to show you what I mean. My friends from school, who I love dearly, and their husbands sent me flowers today. It's my dad's 2-year anniversary, and they still took the time to just let me know that they're thinking about me. Not to mention my friends that, you know, took me away for the weekend, and my friend that is paying for my lunch today, and just all the people that spent the time this morning sending the DMs without even knowing, you know, by me directly. Like, I know today's gonna be hard for you, but I'm thinking of you. Like, those are the people, and you all know who you are. Those are the people that are gonna count. They're the ones that aren't going to be mad every time you want to bring, you know, people up that you love, because they understand or because they love you enough to just listen. So find your people, hold on to them. Also, thank you guys. And lastly, and the most important thing, and I think it's very, very important you guys hear me when I say this, there is no time limit on grief. There is absolutely no time frame on how long it's going to take for you to get better. I know it's painful to hear, and it feels like it will never happen, but it will. And it won't be easy. And like any other fight, especially mental fight, it's going to be one of the hardest fights you're going to go through. You always have to keep in mind that perspective is key. And I would have rather suffered the last 1.5, 2 years of my life of the pure heartbreak that I have felt, and I know I'll always continue to feel about losing my father, than to not have had the relationship that I had with him and not feel anything, or not miss him as much, maybe. I'm not sure. But whatever the case is, I'm just thankful for it, because to me, that just shows how much I loved him, and how blessed I was to have him as a dad. I was the luckiest girl in the world. And I know that I am still the luckiest girl in the world, because my father raised me to be this, and this has given me the life that I created, and I am just forever indebted into what my parents have done for me. You just turn things around, you know. So if you have recently lost someone, have lost somebody years ago, it does not matter. Like I said, grief has no timeline. If you are going through grief right now and you are in any of these stages, I want to just give you hope. This is coming from a daddy's girl, a proud daddy's girl. I know now that all of the dark thoughts that I had were just my brain trying to protect me. I know that. I know that I am stronger than those thoughts. And I know that I am worth living. And I know that my Father, wherever he is at, is with me every step of the way, letting me know how proud he is of me. It's 2 years and I can still hear his voice like it was yesterday. What my healing journey looks like now is much different than what I tried to make it look like last year. That's why I said time. Like, just give yourself grace, grace, grace. That's all you can do is give yourself grace. Last year, I tried to force myself into a better situation. That was not the case. This year, it fell so naturally into my lap of like what I wanted to excel at moving forward, where I was ready to put my energy into. I was ready to, nourish my body properly again. I was ready to really stand up and show up for myself. I hadn't felt like I was ready to show up because I was trying to show up for everyone else. I was trying to show up for my kids, my husband, my family. And I needed to really understand I needed to show up for myself first before I could show up for anyone else. If you're going through any of this, I need you to know that there is a light. Please, please, please get help if you feel like you need to. I really don't know how people do it without help, but if you are doing without help because of lack of whatever, or you don't believe it, and whatever the case is, if I can just give you hope, it would be to just make sure you're patient with yourself and understand that I promise you there is a light. It's there. You just takes a while to see it. But if you stay this long, then thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I thank you guys for all of your love and support. A lot of what I do here is mainly to just open up that dialogue for other people that are going through things. And I need you to know the only reason why I truly show up is because each and every one of you have given me a purpose to do so. So I love you all and I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.